I'm Adam Maness.
And I'm Peter Martin.
And you're listening to the You'll Hear It podcast.
Daily jazz advice coming at you.
That is good stuff. And I'm not just... Okay, I'm just saying that because you're sitting right there. No, man,
that's some good
shizit. It really is. Holy cow.
That is the beautiful sounds and tones of Sean Jones and his group live at the Bistro from Mack Avenue. And we have a very special guest in the house today, Mr. Sean Jones.
What's up, y'all?
How you doing?
Good, man. Always good to be here.
Who was in that band when you recorded over there?
That's actually a composition that you're listening to now is written by the saxophonist Brian Hogans from Atlanta, Georgia. Rounding out the rhythm section is Obed Calvaire, Orrin Evans, and Lucas Curtis, and myself.
Yeah.
Some slouches.
terrible cats.
Those were great gigs. I remember being there a couple of the nights, and I think you had two different bands maybe that week.
Yeah, I basically created a situation where it was two versions of a quintet, two versions of a quartet, and we recorded each version each night. So, on different nights. So the first night was a quartet with Obed as a drummer. Second night was a quintet with Obed as a drummer. Then the third and fourth nights, we brought in Mark Whitfield Jr. to play drums. So, yeah,
great
in both
stuff.
formats.
Yeah, great stuff. So, Sean, you are somehow you have mastered the art of not only the trumpet, but of the ability to both be everywhere at all times, but to really do meaningful things when you get there. There's a lot of guys and gals that like just sort of take a lot of different things and do a lot of different things. But one of the things that I admire so much about you is that you do quite a few things, but you really do them well, and you put a lot of your heart and soul into them. And I've been around you and gotten a chance to play. We're playing all this week, but we're doing other stuff. We're doing workshops, we're doing interviews, photo shoots and stuff. And you have this like very just peaceful, graceful ability to kind of float from one thing to the next. And so have you thought about that? Because I know you're super like ambitious about doing things and really calculating in a very positive spiritual way about like your career and stuff. But like how do you go from like the SF Jazz Collective to your band to teaching, heading up the program at Peabody and all these different things that you do, but keep that quality level high?
I think it's a couple different things. One, I've learned to be comfortable inside of uncomfortable situations, and that is like reinventing yourself. I'm constantly trying to reinvent what I do, who I am, in education. So the moment that I get comfortable, I start looking for something else to challenge me immediately. But it has to be a natural extension of what I've already been doing. Like education, for example, spent 10 years at Duquesne University, and as soon as I got my tenure letter, I immediately started looking for another job.
Getting too comfortable.
Yeah, it's like, okay, now I'm set here. Look, what's next?
The admin was like, we have never sent out a letter like that and then had somebody quit, right?
Yeah, usually that's never happened. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, like usually they're sending flowers.
He's so everywhere that I ran into you at Jen, and I was like, I didn't know you were going to be here. He's like, yeah, I'm president-elect.
Yeah, I just like challenges, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Miles said it best. You just got to be. Anytime a musician gets comfortable, they start to decline in their art form. So I'm just looking for stuff to continue to inform who I am as an artist and as a person. So.
Yeah, I think this is a really important point that You'll Hear It listeners will appreciate, because part of being an artist is it's that discomfort, but it's not settling for where you are, for knowing that there's something else past there, and realizing that this uncomfortableness, this like not settling, that's the process. That is it. That's all it is.
Yeah. Well, and I think that there's such a tradition of that in jazz in terms of how we play it. Like that's what gives a lot of the music, I think, its edge. But I would say, especially with trumpet players, like you bring up Miles, and I'm thinking about a lot of great trumpeters, Freddie Hubbard, like just in the moment of the way that you guys play. And I love playing with, like, especially comping behind musicians like you, where, like, if I start to throw a curveball or something kind of goes off for a second, like, you don't look at it as like, oh, man, it's like, oh, this is a challenge. Like, how do we pull, like, what's the other path? Like, how do we do that?
It's an opportunity.
It's an opportunity. And, like, trumpet being such a frontline instrument, there's that natural leadership thing, even if you're not the leader, but it just comes from the nature of the instrument that can set the tone in a super exciting way for the band.
Yeah, I think that's why Miles was so hip, man. I mean, he would imagine how, and talking about being uncomfortable, right? In order to be uncomfortable, you had to give up your comfort. So think about how much success Miles actually gave up in order to go into the next level of success in his career.
Yeah,
For real.
totally.
Seriously, I mean, Kind of Blue, he could have done that. It was like, okay, cool, that's it.
Right.
Nah, he gave that up.
Yeah.
And just kept going.
Sketches of Spain.
Exactly,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It takes a lot of courage.
Yeah, it takes a lot of courage. And because he's in that frontline position, the band trusts that. It's like, okay, he's already putting his ass on the line.
Yep.
So let me do the same.
Well, it's funny because we're doing this every day. Like, how often does, like, Miles Davis's name comes up almost every day, almost to the point sometimes I'm like, man, people are going to think we're relying on him so much. But I really think he has this outsized influence, I mean, way beyond just trumpet players. Just on the, and obviously with his different bands, he had such an influence on, you know, Herbie and Chick and all these, you know, Wayne Shorter that went on to have influences. So it's like he's sort of this grandfather of the music in terms of, like, you know, a number of different specific musical things, but maybe this really interesting, like, live on the edge, you know, be uncomfortable, like, turn your back to the audience, do whatever it is, but the music is always killing.
Yeah.
Like, that's one thing with him. Like, it was always, like, the level of musicianship in terms of who he chose and how he played was always there, of course.
Can you think of another artist in any genre that changed so much and risked so much? I mean, it's a short list of folks who
Bruno
are
Mars. Oh, no. Okay, sorry. I don't know why he
No,
popped
but I
up
mean,
by.
you know, why is Miles always on the cutting edge of everything? It seems
Right.
that way in his prime when he was, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, he's
Risk.
incredible.
On to the next. That's
to
his
the
name.
next. Yeah.
See,
Style
every time
curator.
we're talking about Miles, then bam, we start doing it again. We can't help it.
Yeah, right.
I'm totally fine with that. That's cool.
Cool. So, you know, one of the many exciting things that you've gotten involved with somewhat recently is taking over the program at Peabody, at the Peabody School of Music. And can you just tell us a little bit about sort of your vision for that? Because I know you have some very interesting kind of unique things about how, and I know it's early still.
Yeah.
And so it's a very exciting time.
Well, the first thing that excited me about the opportunity is that the program was actually sort of on a decline. And so where a lot of people saw like, oh man, this is trouble. I saw opportunity, and I saw opportunity through the musicians that were living in the area. I mean, you got some of the greatest jazz musicians on the face of the earth living in Baltimore, DC, all cats right there. They're my peers, and they're friends, great educators, bad cats. So I thought to myself, let's investigate this and see what's possible. And through talking to the deans that were there and the president of the university, it sounded like they were like really supportive of whoever came in to build it. And I said, listen, am I going to be able to bring in my own people? And they said, yeah, you'll be able to do that. And I said, okay, cool. So I took the plunge, man. And it was a very difficult decision to leave Berkeley, man. That's like leaving like the ivory tower, man, to go down and just really get your hands dirty and try to build something. But it's been great. So the vision, faculty that live in the community, faculty that perform in the community, bringing students into the community to perform, having real musicians come in and teach from experience instead of teaching from a book, teach from a practical standpoint, teaching the tradition while letting them know what's going on in the field right now. Introducing some technologies. That's something that we're going to start to do later on.
We know some people who can do that.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm looking at them, and sort of paring down the curriculum so that they can actually work on the stuff that they're being introduced to while they're in school. Because a lot of times they're so inundated with work and with this class, that class, and all of that they can't practice until the summertime.
Right. That's a great point because and I didn't realize because I've been kind of disconnected with the conservatory scene as a student until recently and talking to different folks, but I didn't realize that the requirements had gotten to be so much. And it's so easy to lose sight of, like, in order to play this music, you have to shed. Of course, you have to be playing situations, but I mean, if we don't give them a chance to just have those hours in the practice room, how are they going to? I mean, they're going to learn all this other stuff, but they're not going to be able to play when they graduate. And then they're going to be coming to you and be like,
I was just talking to a young bass player who's from here, and he goes to a very good music school, and he said he was feeling overwhelmed. And he's a really good player, has it together, but just feeling overwhelmed, just the amount of information being kind of forced upon him without being able to kind of have the time to process, is this what I should be doing. You know,
Right.
it's a challenge of
Right.
jazz school for sure.
Yeah.
Because there are these different thoughts that, you know, from different teachers that come at you. And I like the idea of giving the students some time.
Yeah, that's every music school.
Yeah.
And almost any, not just music school, but any program, those classes justify hours, which justify income
Yeah.
for the people that are working there. And so it's a hard thing. It's a hard balance to create because every class that you take away, you're taking away hours from a faculty member. But at the end of the day, the university, the college, you're there for the students.
Yeah.
So you have to always think about them first. And so we're paring down. We have a 9-member faculty, and the good thing is that these cats are out on the road. They're out playing, and that's encouraged.
Yeah.
So go out and do your thing so that you're not like pounding the door down at the university
Right.
trying to create courses
That makes so much sense.
to make more money.
Right,
So
right.
there's a balance there that can be created. And we all work together. We cover each other's classes. We make sure that students know that they can talk to us at any point in time. So we're really trying to create a community there.
Not to mention that being out playing actually helps you become a better, more relevant teacher to
Exactly.
your students.
Right. And then plus, if you get like a student who's a really good bass player, you can pull them out on the road. We always get
Exactly.
bass players.
Yeah.
Yep, that's true.
There's the recruitment side. That's great.
Yeah, man.
So that's the teaching end. You're always involved with a lot of great performance situations. I know you've left SF Jazz now
Yep.
after a wonderful tenure there, really being associated with them. What's on the horizon playing wise with your own group? You got some stuff coming up you're excited about?
Yeah, I'm working on a few different projects. Actually, I did a commission. It's called Flying Girls that I'm looking to record that. And that's my first venture into pedals. I bought this pedal board, getting into more electronics and different effects and sounds like that. So that's kind of an electric band.
Down the rabbit hole, man.
Yeah, exactly. I'm working on with that.
Yeah.
I'm working on a project with tap artist Brene Ali, which is a Dizzy Gillespie project that deals with Dizzy and Afrofuturism.
Okay.
So that's tap, turntables, rhythm section, and myself with pedals. So I'm working on that. And yeah, and also in education, I'm working with Carnegie Hall with NYO
Yeah.
Jazz, and that's a lot on my plate. So there's a lot there.
Now, do you guys are you having like I know last year you had Diane Reeves was kind of the featured soloist and
Yes.
artist traveling with do you guys have somebody this year, or is it just the band? Or
This year is Kurt Elling.
Oh,
Kurt
wow.
Elling's going to be
Nice.
out with us, and we're
Nice.
going to Asia this year.
Okay.
So that's exciting.
That's great.
And
See,
then-
that's smart. You guys get those top singers. Yeah, that's how you
Yeah.
do it, man.
Yeah, hey, they're the best.
Yeah.
And also, I just recently became the president-elect, as you said,
Right.
of GEN. So we'll
that's
be doing
great.
a lot of work with that.
You're gonna be getting a lot of calls from
Just in his downtime.
old friends about different opportunities, you know. So,
Hey,
um,
hook me up with a booth.
yeah. Hook me up, right. So before we go, we're just gonna mention, because it's such you've done 2 courses for us here at Open Studio that are wonderful: Jazz Trumpet Fundamentals Volume 1 and Volume 2. And we've gotten so much great feedback on them. And for folks that are interested, you know, trumpet players, brass players in general, what's been fun for me to see is like the different places that, you know, you get the members come and acquire your courses. And I remember you mentioned kind of on your way out after the first recording session, you know, you were like, you know, you might want to think about getting these translated into Spanish because there's a lot of folks in South America. And I was like, wow, that seems so random. But then we started getting the orders from like Colombia,
Yeah,
man.
definitely Brazil, you know, Argentina.
It's a brass
But
culture.
It's a real brass
Serious
culture
brass
there.
culture, yeah.
But they really connected with you and the knowledge that you broke down. And it's so great, you know, for folks that don't know about it, because you do everything from like, you know, how to you know, clean your mouthpiece to like how to play over Cherokee to it really, you know, it's a jazz course, but it's more a trumpet course for a modern jazz player, I guess I'd say.
Right.
You do that whole breakdown on the Arbin, you know, method. I mean, it's like we were
Clark
like
studies.
man, yeah, we were like trumpet nerddom, you know, the ultimate level up in here. But you always keep it like super fun and interesting and engaging.
Actually,
you know?
my favorite lesson is the one on the blues on Volume 1 with
Yeah.
you talk about the 10-bar blues.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Oh, man.
Yep.
That's so great.
No, it's great
Yeah, I
stuff.
stole a bunch of stuff off that. That was great.
Yeah, well, it's
Cool,
not stealing,
cool.
borrowing.
It's borrowing.
It's all
It's
good.
borrowing.
I bought the course.
Yeah,
Come
yeah.
on.
So, well, thank you so much, Sean, for being here on the You'll Hear podcast with us. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. And until tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks for having me, cats.
Yeah, I think we're gonna go out. Let's go out with one of something from your Kaleidoscope album. Is that cool?
Sure, man.
I love this tune, Allison, man.
Oh, Allison.
Oh, Allison.
It's
Wait,
incredible.
hold up. That's my jam. That's my jam. Okay, that could be your
I picked
jam
it first,
too.
man.
Allison.
Okay, cool.
You'll hear it.